good to see you all. I hope you've had a lovely, lovely holiday. I'm sure it's been a bit different to what you're expecting. So you may have had a holiday planned that hasn't gone to plan. But whatever has happened, and I know that it will have been different for all of you, I hope you've had some lovely times, and we are so pleased that you're all going to be coming back on Thursday. So welcome back. This is sort of like a little assembly as well as a film to help you get back into things. So I'm going to say peace be with you. Oh, that's lovely. I could hear you all then. And as I said, I just wanted you to sort of check in with yourself, because I'm sure that you will have had moments of many of these things over the summer holiday, and it may be that you're feeling a little bit nervous about coming back to school, so you might be wilting, especially if you haven't been to school at all since March. There's just a few of you that haven't been to school during that time, and I know that you've been keeping up with things for the most part, but I can promise you it's all going to be fine, and we will look after each other if anyone isn't flourishing and blossoming. So to start with, a little bit of news. We sort of missed Walk to School week, and we've got kind of an added in Walk to School week this week. I hope it's only this week, because the council have decided to dig up the road again, which is fun. It seems to be a little hobby they have just as we're returning to school, just to give us something else to think about. So it's pretty much the whole of School Road that's going to be closed. So can you please park and stride? You'll have to give that a little bit of thought, because you've got all the staggered timings and drop-offs which are in the email that I've sent. But remember, you can park in the pub and the club. You could park down in the Forest car park. There's lots of things you can do, and maybe if you could cycle or scooter or walk, even better. If there's any way that you can do that, then that would be marvellous for the next 2 days. So have a little think about that and get prepared. I'm sorry, there's nothing that I could do about these decisions, as you can imagine. I would much prefer it not to be that way. So some things are the same and some things are different. Now, if you didn't return to school at all, which is only just a little handful of you, there's probably going to be quite a few different things, but don't worry, it's still just as it was in terms of fun factor and having a great time. And my goodness, have we got a surprise for you as well when you come back. So when you come down the drive, I think you will notice it. It's pretty big. It's not a giant boot this time, something else that you're going to love. So we do have to stay in our pods or classes. Now, before the summer, you were in pods of 15. You're not going to be in pods of 15 anymore. You're going to be in your classes, in your new classrooms. So there may be 30 of you, or there may be 31, or there may be 32. In fact, there'll be either 30 or 32, because we are full as a school, completely full for September, which is great. So basically, it won't really change that much for you guys. You are going to just be with your classmates. The only things that are different I'm going to share with you. But to be honest, I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to really enjoy yourselves. So one thing that hasn't changed from before, but has changed from before all this happened, is washing your hands even more. So it's so important. And there's just some examples of when you will need to wash your hands. So when you first get to school, also when you are going to be eating, which you did before anyway, when you've been to the toilet, that is really important, obviously. But these other bits, if you cough or sneeze, also before we go out to play. Now, it does say wash your hands, but we have got some really good sanitizer as well. And to save time, sometimes, particularly like before break time, your teachers will stand near the door and they'll say, have a squirt. And you just have a squirt of the sanitizer and off you go, nice and easy. Then when you come back in, you'll be doing your just walking around the room and making sure you wash your hands properly. And the reason for that is because when you're outside, you will be sharing some equipment or climbing on the same things from the other pods, and it's really important that we make sure that if somebody did have the virus, then it's not spread around the whole school. So that comes on to the next bit. Break times and lunch times will still be at different times, so you won't be playing across your year groups. So year 5 and 6 you'll go out together, year 4 and 3 you'll go out together but on separate sides. Year 2 and 1 will go out together, and then year R will still have their playground. Year 1, you've got a new playground too. It's the bit outside of my office, so that you have outdoor learning all the time also. So we've changed, that's another little change. So really important that we follow all of these things, and then it will help us have a smooth start back to school. So we're still going to eat our lunch in our classrooms, and it's going to be packed lunch. So you'll hopefully, fingers crossed, mums and dads or anybody at home will have ordered packed lunch from Innovate, or you'll be bringing in your own packed lunch. We will get towards having hot lunches again, don't worry, although I know loads of you love packed lunch anyway, but we just need to settle ourselves in. As it stands, we are in our class pods, as I said, but I am quite hopeful that if things remain okay, that we can move into maybe year 5 and 6 being in a pod together. Not in the same classroom, but they could play together, or they could have lunch in the hall together in the future. So we'll just have to take each step at a time. But for now, it's lunches in our own classrooms. And then after you've had your lunch, you get a half an hour break outside. And it's still going to be that you're on one side of the playground or the other. Now, for the first 2 days back, Thursday and Friday, you're going to have one of your days on one side, and then we're going to make sure everything's cleaned, and then one of your days on the other side. And there is a very good reason for that, because I know that you're going to want to be on one particular side. So there's another little hint of something that's waiting for you. So, and then from then on, it'll be 1 week on one side and 1 week on the other side. So we just have to take it in turns. Okay, you can still pass people safely in the corridors. All the adults are distancing still from one another as much as possible, and you are meant to be distancing from anybody outside of your pod. So anybody outside of your pod, not your brothers and sisters, that's okay, but as much as possible keeping in your pods. But you can pass each other safely in the corridors. That's all okay in the guidance. Now, there's going to be more of us than there were before, so we need to try and keep our distance. We haven't got windows in our toilet doors, so when you get to the toilet, you can just put your head in the main door and think, there's already 2 people in here. Oh dear, no, I'm going to wait. So it's just about trying to make sure that you wait your turn and there's not too many people from different pods in the toilets. The toilets will still be being cleaned every half an hour, so there's lots going on with those to make sure that they are clean and safe for you to all use, but just to be thinking about that, okay? So you used to go to the office a lot, didn't you, if you had a little bump and scratch, but that will be taken care of in your pods. If there was obviously an accident, we'd still go to the office. But if you do have a problem at break time or lunchtime or any other time, the adults in your own pod will help you. And we have got some new staff starting with us, and every pod has most pods have 3 people in them. Okay, so 3 adults that you will get to know. Mostly you know them, but there's a few new people starting. So there's plenty of adults to help you and make sure that you are all okay. Now, I think this is really important. I really like this picture, and I wanted to just talk to you all to try and help you understand this. So I've written there, it's not all or nothing. Everything that we can do can tip the scale. So at the moment, we are still in a global pandemic, and that means that the whole world is being affected by a virus. And it's one of the worst viruses that we've ever seen, because if you do get the virus and you are vulnerable, then it can really hurt you, and sadly lots of people have died from this virus. So we are unlikely to get poorly from it if we are fit and healthy and reasonably young, and even I could include myself in young, so you guys are very young, but we still could have the virus and pass it on to somebody else vulnerable. So when you come back to school, a lot of people are saying when people go back to school, the virus is going to get worse. It might. But a lot of that is not to do with going back to school, it's to do with us mixing more with people. So for example, when we come back to school, all our mummies and daddies will be dropping us off and they'll be talking to each other and mixing more. They might be going back to work and mixing with more people in the office because you're going back to school. So there's lots of reasons why things will be happening and why there is a chance that the virus will infect a few more people. And it could be a problem. So we've got to think, what can we do then? We know we want to come back to school, and we know that coming back to school and seeing our friends is really important, and of course our learning. So we want to make sure that that can happen and that schools can stay open. So we have to look at what else we're doing outside of school, and we need to think, how can that help a little bit? And it's not all or nothing. It doesn't mean you can't see anybody anymore. But if you can try and stay in your pods when you're playing, that would be great. But also, if you are playing and you have been seeing a particular family because mums and dads are really good friends and you're good friends and you've been doing that all summer, and you're in different pods, then it doesn't mean you can't see them, but it does mean that each time you don't see them, you're making a difference. So just because you've seen somebody once for a play date or something that you're doing, that's a little risk, and hopefully no one had the virus, so it doesn't really matter. But if someone then did get the virus and you see those people, that's obviously a bigger risk, and we don't know because we don't know who's got the virus. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not about, oh, I'm okay with that family and I can do whatever I like with them. It's about trying to limit the risks all the time, because you never know when someone is going to get it. Now, having said all that, guys, we are in a really good position in Hampshire and Surrey at the moment. At the moment, there are very low cases of the virus, and we want to keep it that way. So we want to keep doing all the things we've been doing, washing our hands, making sure that we're safe and we're not mixing with too many people. So everybody needs to just do a bit, and then hopefully everything will remain okay for schools and for people to keep going to work. So you've just got to keep thinking, and you can remind mums and dads, because mums and dads also are desperate for everything to get back to normal and want to be able to do what they want to do. And it's been a funny time because we've also been encouraged to go out and eat out and do all these things, which is fine. But now we need to be thinking a little bit more, okay, so we don't want there to be a problem. So just so you know as well, if somebody did happen to get tested positive for the virus, whether it be a staff member or a child in our school, and they had to go into self-isolation for 14 days, their class would have to too, because they're in a pod together. And Public Health England will say to me, now, Miss Oliver, that class cannot be in school for 2 weeks. There's nothing I can do about that. I just have to tell people, and it could be overnight, you're not going to be in school for 2 weeks. Now, if that happened, it's not just about not being at school. You will be working undercover again, okay? So I think have I still got my sunglasses? Okay, might need them, might not. Okay, you never know. So that could happen, but don't worry, it's fine. It's going to be okay, and it's unlikely. So we're hoping that we're just going to be able to keep going. But that's why we're in our pods, because we don't want the whole school to have to close. And if everybody was mixing with each other and we were still having assemblies in the hall and we were still having lunch in the hall, then Public Health England would say, Miss Oliver, now you've mixed everybody together, everybody has to go home for 2 weeks. So what I'm trying to do is make sure it's only one class if it comes to that, okay? So I'm really hopeful it doesn't come to that, but I just need you to know that, guys, so that you understand if that happens. So if everyone can try and do their bit, then it will be great. Okay, so I'm just going to come on to a prayer now. And of course, I'm going to just pray for all of you. I'm going to put my hands together and close my eyes. Dear God, please help us to have a smooth start to our new school year. Help us to be strong in navigating all the things that are sent our way. Help us to look after each other and help us to keep smiling. In your name, Amen. Okay, so you can tell I'm excited. I can't wait to see you. I know all the teachers are super excited too. I hope this film helps a little bit. You'll get more information when you come in on Thursday, and we will see you then. Take care.